with Yeva. I know I've had plenty of webinars with her in the past. She's a lot of fun, and we're gonna kind of have a conversation about. We're gonna talk about some high level business stuff, some paths, some starting paths of how I got to actually became an entrepreneur, and some other paths and topics about in there as well. So she's gonna introduce herself, kind of what she does, and then we'll kind of just start the conversation from there.
Hi everyone. Hi, my name is Eva Draznec. I'm from Europe, from Latvia, from Riga originally, and I really love to meet Victor online. And my professional direction are two ways. I help businesses to build their brand awareness on LinkedIn, and I also help individuals to make their lives more happier and healthier. So I help with balanced nutrition training, would say so. So I help people and help business. I'm really happy to be here today, and I hope we will discover much about digital leadership, actually, which is how I see you, which is why I really admire your input and how you help the global network.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad I was able to add some value there. So I know you wanted to ask some questions starting out, so
Yes,
I would love to hear them. Let's do it.
I we always speak about today and tomorrow, but we never spoke about Victor in the past. What was your choice of becoming entrepreneur? How did you decide it? How did it start? Maybe you
Yeah,
can go with that.
so basically when I turned about 14 or 15, that's when I really started to like focus on my future. So there's this little thing that in my head, I call it a tick, is what I refer it as, is this like obsessive drive to succeed. Every single second is like, hey, you got to be successful. Why aren't you working? Why aren't you working? You got to be successful. And that's when it like kicked off and it became like an obsession to work at that point. So I had to work on something. And then I thought, okay, I don't know what I'm going to create yet. But what I can do is I can learn marketing because every business needs to learn marketing. So that's when I started to really exceed and really start develop myself within the marketing world. And that's when I started my marketing business, started learning everything about marketing. I started learning new projects and things like that because I would invent all these new things. I would do all these new creations, but no one knew about them. So that's when I needed to learn marketing. I started to understand the value of it. So that's when I started my own marketing company and really try to like learn as much as humanly possible there. And that's why I find it so valuable with this social media content and other things like that, because marketing is such a vital piece. And that's how I kickstarted me becoming an entrepreneur because at 15, I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. It was the matter, it wasn't like if I was an entrepreneur, it was how do I become an entrepreneur? Because I was so committed that I knew I wanted to do this for the rest of my life and I did anything possible in order to do that. So I interned all through my high school. I entered for and I worked for free for 3 years just learning how to make businesses money. I didn't get paid a single cent. I just learned how to make businesses money, and that's what I did. I really enjoyed it. And I figured out and really went through all those different aspects, and I loved every second of it. And then once I just started my business career after that and just kept learning essentially.
Victor, I have one keyword which really goes together with you very well is like the speed. You are one of the kind. Like you said now, the speed, how you learn things, and where are you now? But why do you think the speed is so crucial nowadays when we are here on the off from the offline to the online world? Why it's so crucial?
Speed is the game, and the reason is because change is accelerating. So if you're involved with Amazon, social media, just marketing in general, you should start picking up that changes are accelerating faster than they ever have before. So if you think it's fast now, it's only going to accelerate and get harder and harder to keep up with the changes. So if you have to learn and adapt, and it all comes down with testing. So the reason why I was able to excel as far as I did is because I'm religious about testing. And I'm testing every new thing, testing every single post, every single thing I do is some type of test. Even like the normal stuff in my life, I test. So like you have to become religious about testing, because your past experiences do not matter. Because if you're constantly testing new things, that is the game. Because what works in the past is going to change so quickly that someone with 10 years of experience it's valuable, but it's going to be useless compared to the person that tests every 24 hours. Because we're going to know, like, for example, me and you on LinkedIn, we know those new buttons, we know those new gimmicks that are going to pop up within LinkedIn, those new features that we're going to test immediately, gain that engagement while testing, that the people that test 30 days later aren't going to get that extra engagement boost on that new button that we're testing, whatever it may be, LinkedIn Live, LinkedIn Stories, whatever it may be. We're going to get that additional engagement because we're test so much. So yeah.
Uh, Yeah, actually, it goes together very well with the change, what you mentioned, because change is happening only when we deliver something from today to tomorrow. So I think it's very relevant when you speak about the being very agile in testing, and actually, you speak about the failure, that it really plays a big role in your daily activities, that you are open to failure. And this is something I think very very crucial today for the entrepreneurs, to not to be afraid of failing. And how do you put it in your work culture? How does it fit in your daily uh, agenda?
Yes. So you first have to accept, when it comes to failure, you first have to accept who you are as a person. Like, it really comes down to saying, yes, I am me. I was born here. I like accepting, like, yes, this is me. And then accepting every failure is 100% your fault. Because if you don't do that, if you blame it on someone else, then it starts to fester in your mind. You just use, like, for example, if I blame something on you, Yeva, it's gonna fester. It's her fault. It's her fault. It's her fault, and it's gonna fester there because there's nothing I can do about it, and it's just gonna keep winding in my mind, and gonna become an obsession till the point I hate you. So, and you don't want that to happen. You never want that to happen. So it's yes, exactly. And so then you have to blame every failure, like every employee that fails is my fault because I hired them. Something in there, it is somehow my fault because I didn't communicate correctly or something in there. And the what that does is that means once it becomes my fault, I can do something about it. That means I can change something. That means I can communicate better. Something like I can hire someone better. Whatever it may be, I can change that once the failure is my fault. But as soon as I blame someone else for it, I can't do anything about it. But as soon as I blame myself, then I know the action items. I execute and I work and I know what to work on next. So that's why I blame myself for everything that happens. So yeah.
Actually, I think we have come to the point. We have spoken a lot about your team and the way how you train and lead your team, and now in this online world and the speed of how we are moving. I think, can you share a little bit of your strategy, your feeling, how to lead the team in this digital time? How are you doing that?
Yes. So it's actually quite interesting that I'm able to develop a connection and a like, first of all, I prioritize the relationships with others just in general, and the relation with my team is should be extremely strong. And the way I've been doing it and scaling that, I almost never have meetings with my team ever. Ever. Like, I barely ever have meetings with my team. It's more efficient to actually just send them a video of, like, hey, this is what I would change on this video. You did a great job on this. This is what I would change on it. So I communicate that and I create literally 300 of those, like, 2-minute videos of what I would change, because that's how I communicate. Video, this right here is how I communicate. But if you try to get me writing an email or blog on something like this, you're going to get like some horrible crap. You're just going to get basic crap. So videos know how I communicate. And basically, I just show them, hey, this is what I would change. This is what I would update. And then after that, I've been able to really communicate to them, and I'm able to establish a relationship with them through those videos that I create. So that way they can see, okay, this guy's not actually too bad. He's giving me good feedback on what I should change, and he's telling me that I did a good job. So I get like an additional oomph with it when it comes to really establishing a relationship with them, which is really important to me.
I really had this great opportunity to be part of your team meeting, like you say, team meeting, this
Yeah.
video recording which you created for your team, and I admire the way how you structure. I'm sorry, my cat is playing around, so we can have a third guest. Our my cat. Uh, let's start from the beginning. And I really admire the way how you put the structure of the bullet points of the tasks which you are helping your team to recognize, and after deliver some projects already from that video. How did you come to that solution, and how do you find it um, uh, working for you, and how team can go on with this structure? Tell me more, please.
Yes. So a lot of people, a lot of businesses now focus on team meetings and scheduling and things like that. But I've really taken a different approach that, like, let's be honest, when you're in a large team meeting, you're half listening. You're literally just looking at emails. You're doing something else that's like more important. You're just kind of half listening. No one's actually like fully listening on a meeting, like on a 1 hour meeting. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing. You're on your phone, texting, whatever what it is. Even on my own meetings, I still do that. So, like, it really comes down to if you send these 10-minute videos of everything condensed and saying and pinging whose job is like for each particular section, saying, hey, this video is for you. Hey, this video is for you. Hey, this video is for you. So I might make one for my social media person. I'll make one for my Amazon advertising person and saying, here's this for you. And then that way they're able to digest that information in like less than 5 minutes, so everything's more efficient, and that way it's more relevant to that person. So there's no point of having my entire team on one call when I can just communicate to my project manager and where they can send the video to another person in that particular department in my company, and it just makes things like really really efficient, so that way they're not half listening, they're fully listening to the video I send them, and they're able to skip it. I don't know if they skip it or not, that's up to them, to be honest, but like it should be completely relevant to them, and then it becomes on them. If they're like, if I communicated something to them and they don't execute on that, then they are accountable. So as long as it's my job to communicate to them of what I'm trying to accomplish, and that's why I create 200 of these. I probably create 200 or 300 videos for my company per day on what I should change, and
Nice.
like of all the different things going on because I'm operating nonstop, and that's how I approach it. I really try to communicate to them as best as I can, and I do that through videos.
I like the keyword communication. And actually, you said that at some point there could be situations when someone is accountable for a process that it's not going the way you would like to. And how do you see that situation? How do you cope that communication, or it's a miscommunication, or it's a miss of like lack of skills? How do you solve such situations? How it is in your practice?
So basically, the way I do it, if I see something not being executed on, so I first make the assumption that, okay, I didn't communicate well enough. There's some kind of miscommunication, and I send another video, and then if it's not executed on again and it's misunderstood, then like I send up to 3 videos of communication points of explaining exactly what needs to be done. And then at that point, then we have to make the assumption that it might be the person. Like after, like, normally I'm okay, I can send one overview video and they can pick it up. If someone is experienced enough, I base it off of the experience they have in the past, and I send an overview video and they should be able to understand it. But if they need more than 3 videos to understand what I'm trying to communicate, then we start really looking at, okay, this might be the person. They might not have enough experience. They're a great person, but we might need someone with more experience. And I don't judge them for that. Like I just say, hey, like we love to bring you on. We need someone that can pick this up very quickly. And who if you have to remember, speed is the game. And if you have a lot of experience, makes it where we don't have to train you. There's a lot of speed in there where they're able to pick it up very quickly. So that is what matters. So I care about it's very interesting. I move extremely quickly, but at the same time, I never rush my employees. In no circumstance should my employees ever feel rushed. Like I expect them to move fast, but I don't ever expect them to feel rushed. Like I have never once said on a video saying, "Hey, we have to complete this at this time." In that tone ever. I would say like, "Hey, I have a meeting in like 1 hour. That would be absolutely awesome if you could complete this. If not, no worries." Because I know at the end of the day, like that's exactly how I say it. So then they become like, okay, like it's not too bad because I know it's not the end of the world if I don't get that report. Yes, it would be awesome to show that the client that report, but at the end of the day, I know it's my fault that I say I procrastinated that report and asking them. I should have given them more time. And also, I never expect for them to feel rushed because that that's a very toxic, it becomes negative performance at that point. If I tell them, "Hey, it would be awesome to have this and it'd be really neat to," I know they're going to try their best and it's not going to damage performance. But when I start being aggressive, like being very mean, saying like, "Hey, I need this," I might accomplish that task, yes, but at the detriment of the relationship. And I never want that to happen. I always want to make sure our relationship's good. If the task is completed, like if the task isn't, or whether if it's not or is, I don't care. I want to make sure the relationship is good. I will never sacrifice a task based off the relationship ever. So that's really important to me.
I think it's crucial for us to step a bit aside and look at the skills and the way how you hire the team, how you choose people, because I know that you are not doing interviews, meetings. You already put people on the position when they feel bad not to perform, as we heard now.
Yeah. So basically what I do is I create an overview video of what we're looking for. So I'll do a 10-minute overview video. This is like all the craziness that's happening. We need someone to create a more efficient process with this. And basically, whoever responds with the best response, saying, "Okay, this is what you need to do. You have an organized plan of like you need to do this, this, and this." And whoever gives us the best criticism, it gets hired essentially. Because I never want a yes person ever. There is not a single yes person in my company that is still here. Like a yes person is saying, "Can you do this for me?" Yes. Can I like I need someone that criticizes what we do to make the process more efficient. And that's how we've been able to scale is I net there's no such thing as a fully optimized campaign anywhere because we're always testing, we're always doing something. And I don't want someone that just says yes, yes, yes. I want someone that goes, "Okay, this can be better, this can be better, and this can be better." That makes me so happy when they do that. I'm like, "Yes," like 100%. Because I will if someone any of my employees that ever give me an idea, 99.9% of the time, I will say yes. Because if they have the idea of doing something, I want to execute on it because it's worth exploring. Like literally, if my employees say, "Hey, we need to start testing stick figures in your content," I'm gonna go, "Sure, why not? Let's test it." Because first of all, it's their idea, and I want to value their ideas that they give. And at the same time, I am religious about testing things. So I want to test those things and experiment with them. And going on to skill wise on how I base it off the skills, I basically see what the best criticism is. I have a 5-minute meetings. That's it. So I can tell within the first 3 sentences and like on what they do and ask me. If I
Mhm.
start an interview and they start asking me all these granular questions about how my process works, they're hired like instantly. Because if
Yeah.
they're asking me granular questions about how like it works and what they can do, I already know they understand the process super well. So I just say, "Yep, you're hired. Just do it." I don't have time to do it. You just do it. And but if I go into interview and they say yes and they only ask me one question, then it's like probably not, most likely. Because you can understand how that person is based off of their demeanor. So, do they talk like this? do they talk like this
And
or
you
do they
need
talk like
seeing,
this?
and
So
you love seeing.
you can really tell like when like basically all my project managers basically talk a certain way because I need my project managers to be very assertive and very organized in what they do. So all my project managers basically talk like I do. But it depends on what you're trying to hire for. If your developers talk kind of like this, it's okay because they're developers. But you need your like for example, project managers. I'm able to identify how they speak with the attributes I need out of them because it's all about understanding the underlying layer of what you're looking for because my project managers I need to be assertive, but my developers are naturally introverted. So I need someone that if I see an extroverted developer, it's kind of like it's like whoa, you're an outlier. I don't even know if you're a developer or not. So because they're usually very quiet, they don't talk very much. So it's kind of like that's how
Like
I
me and
look at
you, like me and you.
it. Yes, so wow, we're so introverted. Oh my gosh.
No, no, no,
but
that's fine. That's
but
why we are here.
yeah, so like going to your question with like skills, I identify what their personality skill is of what I need for that particular role,
Yeah.
and at the same time, their experience and how they communicate to me is a really important way because like for example none of my developers I expect to communicate very well. I like it's a very rare attribute. Like developers just don't respond. Like it's just like one of their things. I don't know why. It's just I don't expect that out of them. But for my project managers, I expect 2 hour response times. That's very standard. So because they're organized, like they're way more organized than I will ever be. So I need them to like be prompt in those things. So basically when it comes down to it, I analyze the personality skill in the person and do their experience, and those two together make a really good mesh of hiring a really good person to sum it all up.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But here we come. I will interview you on the skills for the leadership. But before, I want to still go back to your team because the thing you said that your team is duplicating you, and this is actually very well, and this is actually very efficient for the business if your team can duplicate you and move business forward. But you mentioned that you are not the most organized person on the globe, but on the other hand, your team is very structured and very organized. How do you um, how do you manage to arrange such process that they can really pick up the things from you and structure them and deliver to the client? How does it happen?
I did not realize how unbelievably unorganized I am until I had project managers. Like like they were like, "Oh, how do you do this right now?" Is like, "Oh, I just kind of like do this." I'm a very very scattered brain person. Like I need chaos in order for me to be comfortable. It's very interesting. Like project managers, in order for them to be comfortable, they need organization. They have to have layers of organization. But I can't do that. I'm only comfortable when it's chaotic, when a million things are happening. That's when I'm happy. So it's very interesting. So what I do is I make a video of I call it Victor's crazy to-do list. It's like 300 tasks that I have to do, like literally 300. And I go through, okay, this is what I need. Okay, this is what's going on. And like I just provide an update for them through one video, like a 15-minute video of what each task needs to be done and how we can execute on it. And just I use the video as more context of what the client is looking for. And I just go through my 300 to-do list essentially and assign it. And basically my project managers assign it accordingly and help me organize it because I have like the inability to organize it and structure things. As much as I try to, it's very, very difficult for me. It's easier for me to just go through a crazy to-do list of 300 things and just blast through them, and they help organize and divert it to the according person, and that's been very helpful for me when it comes to scaling these type of tasks. So yeah.
Would you say that it's crucial for the entrepreneur to have really skillful project manager team, like or one person or team, that it's crucial for you to proceed with the tasks and deliveries?
Yes, like it's I didn't realize because when I first started my hiring process, I just hired normal like a person like account executives, people that just do the executional work. And I was like, yeah, that this will be easy. I can just get people to just do all the executional work. But I was the middleman for everything. Like every single piece of communication, I was like if a client wanted something updated, I was getting like my to-do list was crazy. Like I would have like 700 tasks of I would need to update him there, and like it would just got so unbelievably insane. But once you have a project manager, I realized like how much that takes off of you. Like when you're not the middleman anymore, it feels so much better because they're communicating, they're doing their own thing. They actually have meetings without me. They're able to say, they're able to follow up and make sure everything's being done and executed on. And that's the biggest thing for me. Like I can give tasks to being assigned, like my Victor crazy to-do list. I can give you 300 things that need to be executed on, but following up with those things I cannot do. I don't have the time to do it. So that's where project managers come in. They follow up with them and help organize that entire process. And it's a necessity to be for an entrepreneur, especially if you're a scattered brain entrepreneur like me, that it needs that chaos, that have a million things going on, which most entrepreneurs do. That a project manager, a good project manager, is really crucial in there to making sure that everything is going right. So yes.
You lead me to thinking. I'm still putting away the skill section of the entrepreneur because I think you are leading me to understand that to go globally, it's very essential to understand that you are not this one person show, and you really need to build up the team. And I think that what you told us is really explaining that how you can proceed with all the strategic aspects as an entrepreneur, as a head of the business, that you really shift a lot of tasks to your team, and it is good to have people around you. And it's actually what I really like that you told, that you are actually initiating this criticism. And I think this is the feedback culture, and very this is buzzword at I think it's very essential in the company to grow, and you are growing globally, uh, to have this feedback culture. And can you still stay a little bit more on this safety, how your team feels safe, and how you build up this culture that people are collaborating, delivering,
Mhm.
failing, and still delivering value to the customer?
So at first, you first have to realize that you first have to kill your ego. Number one, saying that I will never be as good as someone else. Saying that there are a million different tasks. Like there's not one thing I am good at that someone else can't be better than me at. Like it's just like no matter what it is, like whether like there's first of all I'm horrible at a million different things that there's other people out there that are way better than me at. So first of all, you have to realize that there's always going to be someone better than you, and then you can realize, okay, I can assign someone these tasks that are way better than what I can do. And once you're able to give that off, and first of all, kill your ego, and then it comes down to trust. You have to trust that person that they will do the task assigned, and that they won't like screw it up or anything else. And you really have to trust other people. It's a necessity. Like no matter how many times you get screwed over, you have to trust the other person to become to do the task that is delivered. And it's crucial to scaling. You can't like you only have so many hours of the day, and if you don't trust anyone else to do the task assigned, you cannot scale your time. It is physically impossible. You can only be the middleman so long until you burn out and die essentially. Like it's literally you have to trust other people and kill your ego, give it to the other person so that way you can scale out your ability to do things and really have a scalable business, because without it, you don't have a scalable business. It's impossible.
You lead me to the keywords. Like I hear from you: trust, team, time management, speed. Can we go step by step to the uh, skills, persona, brand persona of entrepreneur. How do you see it for the 2022 or next 5 years or this digital time we're rushing in? And what are the main keywords like for our audience to keep in mind that are really essential, like the kit, entrepreneurship kit for the digital leadership success? What would you
Yeah.
suggest?
I would say the main skills that the entrepreneur needs to get comfortable with is the the ability to understand that things things are able to change. That what worked in the past may not work in the future, so you have to constantly test new things. And like I always say this, like, because I see so many entrepreneurs that never post any content. And it kills me because it's like there's so me and you know there's so many ways to produce so much content that it every business owner should be producing content, but they don't because they either don't value it, they don't prioritize it, or some other thing of that nature. But it's super important that they do things like that. But when I would basically drill down to the exact skills that every entrepreneur needs, I would say the you have to kill your ego is the biggest one when it comes to trying to scale a business. You can't have an ego. It's physically impossible to scale a business and have an ego at the same time. Because you have to trust others when it comes to scaling and things like that. That and you have to have some type of like the good thing about being an entrepreneur is that you can hire for your weaknesses. But first, you have to
True.
realize what your weaknesses are. And the way you do that is by killing your ego at the very beginning. You have to say, okay, what am I bad at? What am I like horrible at? For example, I am the worst copywriter to ever exist. Like, I literally cannot write two sentences without having a grammatical mistake. It's that bad. I am that bad of a writer. So, luckily, I have lots of copywriters. And like I have Grammarly, which is a tool that fixes it for me as well. So yes, and I'm horrible at graphic design. You have to realize like all the things that you're horrible at, and then you build out a team that helps you with the things that you're god awful at. So that's what's been super helpful for me when it comes to creative. For example, you might be a super organized entrepreneur that you may not need a lot of project managers like I do. I need a lot of project managers because I am super unorganized as a person. But when it comes to setting up and automating things and setting up systematic processes, I'm really good at that. So I can create workflows within project management tools that work very efficiently. I'm good at that. So I don't necessarily need a person for it. I just need someone to follow up on it. So that's the best thing about being an entrepreneur is that you can hire for your weaknesses, but the first thing is you have to identify them. You can't say, "Oh, I'm just good at everything," because that is not true. We all suck at a lot of things. It's just a matter of like basically admitting it to yourself and hiring for it.
Victor, this is amazing. But then, if we know that we're gonna create this material and this is gonna be seen by many entrepreneurs and worldwide, what would you suggest to look for? What kind of skills are needed? I think this ego is one big thing, but
Yeah.
what would people need to have or develop, because skills could be developed? What would you suggest entrepreneurs to think of how to develop themselves? In which direction?
So you you have to make a decision. So when it comes to development, like for example, you have to realize you can't define yourself within these categories. For example, us as a society defines each other in these boxes. For example, we say, "Oh, I'm an introvert. I can't go and talk to new people. I'm scared of talking to new people." But the reality is we're all scared of talking to new people. It's just a natural thing, but we define ourselves as an introvert. So we say, "Oh, I
Yeah.
can't do that. I'm an introvert." And we put each other in all these categories of why we can't do things. And you have to realize that when you're finding the weaknesses in yourself, you have to make a decision as an entrepreneur. You have to say, okay, is is it the attribute that I need to develop, or is it just a weakness as a personality trait? And you have to develop that within yourself. For example, I never thought in a million years that I would be able to assign tasks through a project management tool. I always just said Slack. I'd say do this, do this. Like I need all these reports updated. Do this, do this. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm not organized. I'm not going to create the task in ClickUp. But then my team said, hey, if you create the task within ClickUp, the project management tool, it'll actually make things more efficient for us to sort them. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm all about maximum efficiency. And then I eventually learned it, and it's a lot easier than doing it through Slack. So you can't be ignorant. You have to be open to new ideas and bring them in, and not defining yourself with any particular skills. And like all these personality tests and all these other things, like, oh, I'm a OPTF, whatever, I can't do that. And it's all about experimenting, because I thought I was an introvert for the first half of my life. I thought I was an introvert because like I was afraid to talk to new people. But then once I realized, wait, everyone's afraid to talk to new people. Then I was like, wait a second. And then I just went crazy. I was like, hey, I can talk to everyone now because I got used to it. So like then I realized I'm a full-blown extrovert, but we can't define ourselves and limit ourselves based off of these personality traits that we give ourselves, and like constantly keeping defining ourselves, because it's going to constantly limit you. So as an entrepreneur, it's really important that you constantly stay open to developing new skills, and not saying, oh, I can't do that because of because of B, because you have to keep changing. You have to keep changing, because like for example, I said that I'm not very organized person. That can change. Like if I start developing myself and learning how to
Yeah.
become more organized, and I'm way more organized now with my project managers, to be honest.
Mhm.
So like it's all about developing yourself and realizing what you can and cannot develop.
I think it's very essential what you said, and I believe that if you see anything you can change, which is on your like hands, which you really can change, then this is opportunity. And I think this is the good angle how you show it, that there shouldn't be this attitude of what I cannot, is what I can learn, is opportunity for entrepreneurs to step in. But I think you also mentioned this be thing to be open to the new tools, and this is very essential for our digital online world. Not to be afraid to test, again, your favorite word, test and experiment,
Yeah.
and go into the digital tools, because those ones can really deliver efficiency for your business, and really like give more time for you to think about the business strategy, new markets, new products, new services. And I think this is essential what you mentioned. And can you go a bit deeper in the challenges you are facing as a how did you say, unstructured, very quick moving, but still with a global side, entrepreneur? What are your challenges now?
So parts of our challenges are trying to understand, like right now we're basically learning the process of how to structure a company and identifying communication points that are more efficient, because every time you add a person onto your company, there is a level of miscommunication that happens.
Yeah.
So if you're going through a workflow, you have a Facebook ad person, you have a copywriter person, and you have a person that does the ad graphics. So those are three different people that I just said. And that adds a whole other layer of miscommunication, potentially, a whole other layer of potential like waiting for a person to do their particular part and things like that. So one thing we're learning right now is communication points is what I call them. Communication center points, meaning that if you find a person with that does Facebook ads, that also does copy, and that also does ad graphics, you now have one center point of communication that if that person understands what's going on, he's able to create the copy for you, create the ad graphic for you, and be the Facebook advertiser behind it. Now, those attributes are very rare to find in one person. Yes,
True.
but
True.
the efficiency you get out of that is insane because you're able to literally create a Facebook ad campaign, get the ad copy, get the ad creative, and get the
True.
campaign up within under 24 hours, which is very unheard of if you have 3 people within this entire process because it adds layers of inefficiency. So I would say communication center points is what we're learning right now, and we have to really help try to identify what is the best beneficial. How can we get the most communication center points of trying to understand what does this person need to understand, so that way we limit the amount of miscommunication that happens within the company to add a whole other layer of efficiency within the business. So that is one big thing that we're experimenting right now, is call it what I call communication center points.
I believe it also brings you to the risk point, because as you said, there are not so many people in the field that can really give those three deliveries in one time. So how do you manage? You still have those people who can do 3 things, and you still have 3 people who do all the 3 things. So you mix up the team. But the ideal version you would suggest for entrepreneur to find those how do you say, the communication center points, which
Yeah,
are true professionals, which have this T expertise more wider, that they have this like several expertises within one person. So you are challenging yourself for less time, right? For
exactly.
spending.
And it really comes down to understanding what that person needs to know. And like, for example, when someone is setting up the Facebook ads, they're going to know what copy works the best, and they're going to
Mm,
understand that process. It's about balancing specialization with generalization.
true.
You have to balance them out. So you can find a person that knows a little bit about everything. That's everywhere. But finding someone that specializes in a particular category like Facebook ads is very hard to find, because they have to really understand the platform, what's going on, and things like that. And on top of that, they need copywriting skills, ad graphic skills, and things like that. So it's a balance of generalization and specialization, and specialization is extremely important. I don't think that's why when I hire, I expect them to respond with a super granular, detailed response of how I can make this process more efficient, because I really want them to be specialized within the company, because that's where they're going to be able to add the most value. Because I already know a little bit about everything, but it's really important that the employee of what their task is that they're specialized in that category, so that way they can execute the best way possible. So that's how I would balance the specialization versus generalization of that entire process.
Chin Chin, you need to drink something. Victor, I think we already touched a little bit social media aspect, and this is your strong part. You actually have strategy of testing, experimenting, and I just wanna one aspect you mentioned about the professionals, entrepreneurs, that they don't really like to be present on social media. They don't see value in that, in posting, commenting, and creating content. And I think this is matter of how much time they have, because you have to understand that this is long-term investment, right? And
Yeah.
if you have to take care of your daily business and nobody else is in your team, and you don't have time for posts because you have to do the business, that's why people don't invest time in social media, because they don't have maybe team, they don't have planning, they don't have those project managers. And this is something you would maybe invite people to have team, to have more time to build your long-term presence on social media, in case if you have this global uh, like challenge if you want to build your global awareness. And I think this is now crucial in online time, to build your global brand awareness, because you cannot stay locally anymore. It's too risky and it's not interesting. Actually, it's more challenging to go out and build your global presence. And I think we can talk about your short-term activities, short-term strategies, and testings, and the long-term uh, activities. Where do you see it's worth to put your how to say resources, and
Yeah.
build your footprint in long run?
So first thing when it comes to posting things, you first if you're starting to wanting to post on LinkedIn or these other platforms, the first thing you have to do is realize, are you not posting because you are scared? And like literally like when I first started, I was scared to post. I have no idea why or whatever reason. I was scared to post things. And so what I did was I just started posting random stuff. Like you have to then it comes down to not being scared to post, and second, actually not caring what the other person thinks, because you have to realize when you start posting, you're going to be scared about what the other person thinks, and then you're going to expect the super high quality stuff, and it's just going to be annoying. It's going to add a lot of inefficiencies for you. So you have to just post something, like literally just post it, just get in the habit of posting random stuff, so that way you get over your fear of posting, first of all, and then second, you take over you get rid of the fear of what others think if you just post something, and you start getting yourself in the habit of it, saying, hey, like your first post can say, hey, this is my first post, just trying out LinkedIn. And then your second post can be saying, hey, I'm still trying to figure out LinkedIn. I am too busy to actually do anything about it, but I'm trying to figure out valuable content. And then your third post can be, hey, what's some valuable content I can create for you guys? And like literally just keep going in that direction, so that way that person can start, because it only takes a couple of seconds. I know, like, I'm not like I'm speaking like I have a couple of seconds within my day, but I don't have like a lot of minutes to spare. But like seconds is what I have. So you can actually like write up a couple of seconds of like how your day was or whatever it may be, just to get in the habit of it. And then you can start scaling from there, of doing video webinars and things like that, because that's a whole other level of complexity. But it all starts with like starting simple and just like trying not to be scared of it, because that's what happens. We get scared.
Yeah, you are a kind of experimenter. Please tell me how are you doing this? How are you choosing channels? How are you choosing your tone of voice? How are you trying to discover new things? So what is the process? Just give us
It's
insight.
literally a random idea. I'm not even joking. Like it's most
Mhm.
of them happen in my sleep. Believe it or not, like the Amazon updates, I obviously have those particular things. I just test like whether like to do different aspects of things, and like I test images all the time. I'm testing like all these different topics around like different center points of topics and things like that, and I've been kind of going in that direction. So it helps that like I really help dominate LinkedIn, and I like really try to follow a specific way of how I want to structure, like how I can reach the most people possible. And I'm always testing new concepts that like to talk about, and kind of go from there is basically how I've been structuring it. Like for example, my Amazon employee, I started calling out Amazon employees on how they on I called out Amazon employees of like why they're all looking at my posts. I have like 500 Amazon employees looking at my post, and that went viral. I got
Yeah,
30,000 views on it. And
yeah,
then,
you
then
have
I did
to
a
do it.
follow up post on that saying, "Hey, my previous post went viral, and then that one went viral." So like, and then like the one after that kept doing well as well. So super weird stuff, but like I'm constantly testing new aspects to go about it, and the testing process I go through is just like experimenting, like, hey, I'm going to test this image, hey, I'm going to use this headline instead starting out, because the main objects you can test is basically the first headline, the first line, and then your image or video or whatever you end up using. Those are the two biggest factors in when it comes to getting the most engagement possible on posts, and that's what I primarily test. Seeing what's the biggest factor there.
Okay. And I hope you will agree with me that entrepreneur himself or herself is already a brand,
True.
right?
Yes.
And how would you describe what would be the value for the audience that entrepreneur as a brand can give through the social media now, not locally, but globally? What would be the value to think of? What is
It,
important to understand when we create the content as an entrepreneur, as a brand?
yeah, and I know you kind of disagree on this particular subject, but for me, I prefer to go the more personal brand route versus the business brand route. So I do brands content like just for specifically, but I feel like personal content does so much better than like business based content because people like following people. People don't necessarily like following brands. Yes, it's interesting to them. Yes, I agree with that, and they do it sometimes, but people like following people more because it has the intention of like, hey, follow Victor Dwyer and not necessarily Dwyer Enterprises, because if you follow Dwyer Enterprises, you have the intention, oh, he's trying to get me as a client. Like, and no, I'm not. Like, literally, if you follow Victor Dwyer, I've never done a single post that I'm selling something. So, like, I that's why I go the more personal brand route, because people like following me and what I do, and that way I can post have a strong you're able to have a stronger relationship with them. And that's the whole goal of what I do. I want to have the strongest relationship possible with them. And I don't care if they become a client. Like, my goal is to establish a relationship with them. So that is why I go the more personal brand route, to really establish like me getting out there. And what entrepreneurs need to digest is you will not get a ROI, a return on investment, for every single post you do. It's not going to happen. But if you're trying to build, you have to think about it like there is no transactional amount you're going to get out of every single post. It's not going to happen. But if you have to think long term that you are building a relationship. You have to think that relationships are your equity. If you want to speak in financial terms, relationships are everything. So you may not get a huge amount at the very beginning, but as you start building up more relationships, that's when it starts becoming very beneficial for you. Like, for example, for the first 7 months I posted LinkedIn content, I did not get a single dollar from clients. Not a single thing, because I don't sell. So meaning that I don't get short-term successes anywhere. And then this random person this reached out to me, say, hey, we got to talk. And then is like, I joined the Zoom meeting, and I have their whole team's on it, and it ended up being my biggest client I've ever gotten. Like, it literally doubled my no, tripled my business by like having that huge of a client. But it happened because I'm establishing a relationship with this person, and I don't have the intention of selling. I want them to be informed of, I'm an expert in the area. I know what I'm doing, and that's all I need them to know. I don't care if they become a client. I really could care less if other people use me as a service, because I know at the very end of the day, people are going to choose whatever person that is the most value to them. And if they use me, if they use someone else, I could care less. If all my clients left for someone else, I could care literally less, because I know they are going to go with the person that adds the most value to their business. So that is why I'm not worried. I don't focus on defense. I literally, my clients could go anywhere. I could care less. I focus all on offense of, I am going to establish the most relationships possible. I don't care how much money I make tomorrow, but I know long term in the next 30 years, those relationships are going to be amazing. I have no idea how. I have no understanding of how it will work, but I know those relationships will benefit me in some way.
I think This is very valuable for the entrepreneurs who will listen to you from this yeah recording. You grab my words, people to people, and I think this is what happening now in the online world, that we cannot as a company put ads somewhere and hope for miracles. We need our ambassadors, we need our employees, we need our clients, we need people to speak about us as a brand. And if you are a brand yourself, entrepreneur, then you have to go out and speak to people and be present and make those relationships. And as you said, you're thinking about the long run, you're building those relationships for the 30 years after, but you never know when the call is coming today. Maybe after 5 minutes you receive a call, and this is your short-term ROI, right? Like you already receive the return on investment. So this is something I would really recommend as well from my side as a communication strategist. And I, even if we today are in Yan, black and white, I, I still post a lot of personal content. I really agree with you, because building relationship with our network, with our audience, is crucial. We are building trust. We are opening ourselves, giving this expertise aspect, giving personal aspect, but we are building relationship, building the bond, building the trust. And then people, if they have this question and need for solution, they already have one person in mind to come for the advice and service. So
Yeah.
this is what I see you do very well, and this is why people really follow you. And I see a lot of engagement, and I see a lot of interest about your persona. So entrepreneurs, be personal and create content, and create teams to work for you, so you have more time for being present on social media, to experiment, to test. Follow the example of Victor, and don't think about the mistakes, the correcting the wording, but think about the value you are giving to your audience. Sorry.
Mhm.
And maybe Victor, you have some good words. We are closing our hour.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, it's all about really like the best way to establish a relationship with someone is to add value to their life in some way. So if you find ways to do that, it could be literally talking about your life, and somehow that can add value to theirs in some weird way. Regardless, is like, oh, I learned this today, or I learned this, like, and if it adds value to them, they go, oh, that's pretty cool, and then it starts really adding value to their life. So, and another thing that I wanted to ask you, Yeva, is what what has been your way to really establish a connection with someone else, like whether it's through LinkedIn or whatever else it may be, that what has been your way to really establish a strong relationship with someone through LinkedIn for you?
A good question. I always question this to myself every day.
Mhm.
At the moment, at the moments when I ask the question, I want to build relationship, and the person on the other side is mute. And then how it's possible? We are meant to have relationship. For example, one person sends me an invite on Facebook. I have this habit of thanking for invite and questioning, hi, why did you decide to invite me? What we have in common? Let's proceed and let's meet. And people are mute. And and this is something for me really scary, because on LinkedIn we build those relationships, and for me I feel as a mission to transform this habit to all over where am I, because it's crucial for us to be more interested in other people, not to be so selfish. And as you said, this keyword ego, uh, it's not about us, it's not about us, about me, it's about us.
Yes.
I'm not here alone. I'm within the world. I'm really tightly connected with people, and my answer would be that I really go deeper in relationships. I am genuine as I am. I go maybe sometimes naive, maybe sometimes too communicable, and people are not ready for this openness. And maybe sometimes people misunderstand me, especially guys, especially guys. But it always played for me in a good way, because then you are really showing your true persona, and people start to trust you more if you put in your time and effort to build those relationships. Someone has to make the first step, and why you should wait for other person to make the first step. There could be many reasons why people are not opening up in the beginning, and you could be the first one who shows the light, and gives the inspiration, gives this impulse
Yeah.
to make relationships. And I think it's beautiful to uh, in the end, that you are impacting those people to change their habits, become more open, become more trustful,
Mhm.
see the value in the relationships. And this is mission for me, I think, to make those people feel comfortable in communicating.
And once you understand that everyone's afraid to talk to new people, then you can realize like, oh, this person wants to talk to me. It's just they're afraid to talk to me. And then it becomes so much easier that like I really learned this when playing volleyball. Like literally everybody's like in their own like huddles. And I would just be like, guys, let's all play volleyball. And then everybody like comes and like we're all playing volleyball, but everyone's too afraid to ask each other. But I know inside their own minds that they want to play volleyball. It's just they're too afraid to ask each other. And it's the same thing with business. That
Right.
everyone wants to connect, everybody wants to network. It's just everyone's afraid to talk to each other. So it's
Yeah.
about like establishing that connection and like reaching out to them saying, "Hey, I just love to have a connection with you."
True.
And just like having a real genuine connection. Like I'm not here to sell you anything. I could care less if you use me or whatever. I just
Mhm.
want to have a genuine connection with you. And like establishing that relationship with them so that way you know that they eventually become a connection, a good network for you.
That's nice.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Good. Good. Very
Good.
energized.
That's great. I really like those keywords you actually brought today. I think they are very useful for our audience. I really like this ego thing. This is, I think, very strong one.
Yeah.
This experimenting and testing. Um, Team is very essential, I
Yeah.
think. Team, yeah, team and speed. I think it's very important to understand that everything is moving and changing very fast, to be very yeah,
I I do find it
open.
really I do find it really fascinating how I'm so obsessed with speed, but at the same time don't rush my team. I like that's a
Yeah.
really fascinating it's a contradictory attribute that I'm like inside my own mind, I'm saying go, 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 go extremely fast to myself. That's what I say to myself. But when it comes to other people, I don't expect them to move at the same speed I do. So, like within my own head, I'm going insanely fast. Like it goes extremely quickly and I do things super efficiently. But when it comes to other people, I don't ever push those same thoughts onto other people. It's a very contradictory thought, but I expect them to do it whenever it works for them. I need the task done eventually, yes, but I don't expect it to be done immediately. I don't expect them to work as much as I do because they're different than me. They have different motivations, and it's my job as the entrepreneur to understand what their motivation is to help their goal. Because if they're not motivated, it's my fault somewhere in there. It's either I hired the wrong person or I did not put them in the correct spot in my company, and that is on me if they are not motivated. So I need to figure out what motivates them and what interests them, so that way I can put them in the most successful spot within the business. For example, all my project managers love organizing things. I have no idea why. It makes no sense to me. It is so not me, my skill forte, but they love just going in and just organizing the things I do because it makes them comfortable. And that's their skill. They love it. That's why they're so happy in what they do is because I understand their motivations behind that. Anything when it comes to organizing things makes them happy. And me understanding that is a super important. You have to take yourself out of your body as an entrepreneur, you have to understand their motivations, your employees' motivations, put them in the correct department or part of the part of the piece of your company, so that way they can excel in what they do. So that's why, and I'm able to understand that within that 5-minute interview that I have with them.
Yeah.
I've gotten at that speed. You don't have to start out with 5-minute meetings. You maybe start with 15-minute meetings to understand how people work. But once you start understanding personality traits, and like the first question I ask them is, "Hey, what are you most passionate about?" I don't ask,
True.
"What are you best at?" I do not say
Yeah.
that. I say, "What are you passionate about?" So if someone could be really good at something but not passionate about it, and that's where a lot of employees really, like my main operations manager, she loved me. She knew she would, like, as soon as I asked that question, what do you like doing the most, she knew she was going to stay with me forever. That's literally what she told me, because she's in her entire career, she has never been asked what she wants to do. And that's really important for me. It's really important for my employees to create ideas and establish a feedback system that we're
Yeah.
constantly adjusting, that my system is always changing. I do not set a particular system, that I'm always open to new changes within it. And I have to understand my employee dynamics on how they communicate with each other, and making sure that they enjoy their job on a daily basis. So I'm doing a million things. And as my company grows, it's getting harder and harder to do that. Yes. And I have to do that. I have to understand each person's motivation between the 30 people in my company, which is extremely difficult, but it's not impossible. So, and it's important for me to communicate what I just said to my project managers, so they're able to do the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So that way they're able to find motivation. So that way everyone's happy within the company too. So as it's your job as the entrepreneur to spill out and inform your company with all the information that you know. That is your job. So when I create all these a million videos and tutorials for my company, I have to relay all the information that I have gained in all these years to my employees, so they understand what to do with it, and so that way they can basically go through the business and work the most efficient way possible. So there's a lot of things that it's the entrepreneur's job to do, and you can't you the project manager can sometimes do that, but you have to remember the culture always starts with you. When you're at the top, the culture will always start with you no matter what. And I've had a lot of employees that work at multiple different jobs, and they said, "Hey, I want to come work with you full time because I enjoy the company culture in there." And that's great for me to hear, that I have developed a culture that's good enough that they're able to enjoy what they do. And it all comes down to, if they enjoy what they do, they will work as fast as they humanly can. So there's no point for me to rush people. There's no point for me to be toxic, because I know the most efficient way for people to work is by being happy and being appreciative of what they do. After, and if I give that feedback system of, yes, you did an amazing job, this looks awesome. And by giving that feedback, they're able to really excel and really work their hardest every single time by giving out that feedback. And even if they do something wrong, it's not, "You suck, we'll do this." I never say that. It's, "Hey, let's just fix this, do this, and then this, then it'll be great, and then we'll send it to the client." It's the way you approach the situation that your project managers, your executive people will start to learn, so that way you can create that culture within your company, which is so important. It is so, so important within businesses to have that culture.
Victor, I really enjoyed to hear this professional tolerance. I think it's very important to have this tolerance, how to approach people and how to motivate them. And I think this is something we can also transfer to the our communication and relationship building on social media, is also this tolerance and patience, that every person needs its own time, and we will build those relationships. Still, it takes time. But I need to ask you this question.
Yeah.
What are you passionate about?
That is a great question. And I really, so I figured out, I watched a very interesting YouTube video about this, that all passion is multiple streams of curiosity. Is that's all
Mm.
it is. So things that you're naturally curious about, you eventually become passionate about. And I found that really fascinating because I am extremely curious. I eventually I started out this entire my entire journey through neurology. I am super interested on how the human brain works and what how the psychological reasons of why people do things. So, for example, the reason why I test so religiously is because I'm interested on why 20% more end up picking the orange banner on a Facebook ad rather than a blue banner. It's super fascinating to me that the human mind, for some reason, 20% more likely will click the orange banner instead. And that's extremely fascinating to me on why people do that. So that is one of my passions. I would say I have basically three layers of curiosity that makes me passionate about what I do and why I love it so much. I'm very curious on how the human brain works. I'm very curious on how to make things. I like things being extremely efficient. Like really systemizing processes. I love automating processes. Like where I can like literally create a robotic process to automate things. It makes me so happy. It's the weirdest thing ever. Like I can create literally like I'll spend like 10 hours creating this robot that automates 5 minutes of work a day. Like it literally, I probably won't get the return on time for probably for the like 10 years, but I have so much fun for the robot that's doing all the work for me. I get extreme happiness out about it. I have no idea why. It's just one of those things that makes me happy inside. So that, and I would say I can't think about what another thing I would be curious about. Just like just constantly learning and developing, and
Mhm.
just just progressing. I'm very addicted to progressing. That's not really a curiosity necessarily, but it's something that I'm very pushed toward. Like I have to keep progressing every single day. So with those things combined, that is why with those three curiosities combined, it makes me extremely passionate person about what I do every single day, and that's what makes me happy. And that the same exact process of what I just talked about with my employees, I do the same thing with myself. For example, I all the things that I suck at and hate doing, I have my employees do. If you had me like do all the blogs and all the graphic design for the company, I'd be miserable. I'd hate my life. I literally hate my life forever. But I hire all those people out, and I know I want to make sure they enjoy that. They enjoy doing blogs, they enjoy doing graphic design. And so that way they're happy and I get to focus on the things that I love doing. I love A/B testing. I love automating processes. Those are the things I love doing. So I focus on the things that I love doing, and that's how I structure my company. So that way I'm loving what I do on a daily basis. My employees love what they do on a daily basis. And then it just comes down to communicating. And after that, you have a very solid structure to a business that can really scale. Because as long as everyone loves what they're doing, people are going to work. They're going to come to the job every single day and they're going to try their hardest. And that's going to be the pieces to a successful company by setting all that up. So that's how I structure all that.
Happy to hear that. Actually, it's very inspiring.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot to learn from you, and this you're a very brave entrepreneur at your age, and I think this curiosity is leading you and helping you to grow, and also shine the light over other people and inspire them not to be afraid and start from somewhere. Be curious in the fields they feel interested in, and then just move on. And I think you started from working for free. Remember, you told, and now you are leading the team and serving global businesses with your services, and I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. Like it's it's one of those things that if you are not able to work for free for it, then like I don't expect everyone to be passionate about what they do, especially when you're just starting out. like it's really important that like when I worked an intern for 3 years, I was genuinely interested. I knew that it was going to be part of my long-term plan of me becoming an entrepreneur, how to make businesses money, and things like that. So that was my internal motivation behind it. But it's really important to realize that you're not going to always find the most passionate people, but that's where you set them up with the happiest spot they can be possibly to work and really setting them up because all I can do for as the entrepreneur is give them the most pieces to success as possible, and from what they do from there is up to them. My job is to give them as much communication as humanly possible to inform them everything that's going on, and then making sure that they're happy on a daily basis. And then I did my job as the entrepreneur. Whatever happens after that, if they fail or anything else, then it really comes down to like what exactly happened with the particular employee. So it really comes down to just establishing a layer of accountability to yourself and trying to manage your time as best possible because time is very limited. I'm at the point where I'm trying to get every single every single hour back. But like basically as my team scales, I'm able to get more and more time
True.
through my day, which is amazing to have. Which is like less videos I have to create. So it becomes very, very helpful within all this. So
Yeah, because you have a lot of hobbies and personal life, and you have a lot of interest to travel and try, experiment, and do sports. I think it's a good suggestion for entrepreneurs to learn how to scale, um, so to have more time for yourself. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't come with the work.
true.
First, you work, you build the system, and then you gain back. This is ROI,
Yes.
which you
And
have to invest something.
and it comes down to like you thinking that it's basically unacceptable, like the entrepreneur, that they should enjoy what they do on a daily
Yeah.
basis. Like there's been this like US culture thing where like it's very standard in US culture to say, okay, I don't need to enjoy what I do. I just need to like work. I just need to work and make money. It's very standard in American culture. I just need to work as hard as humanly possible, and enjoying my job is secondary. That's very, very normal for a person to think that in American culture. And I think changing the conversation is important on that because it should be very, if we spend probably 30%, 30 or 40% of our life working, we should enjoy it on a daily basis. And that goes for the entrepreneur and the employee, both.
Mhm.
The entrepreneur, you don't have to hate your life and like grind 14 hours a day, hating every piece of your life. You can get entrepreneurs, you can get other employees that enjoy that particular task. Like I said before, I hate doing blogs and graphic design. I have employees that do blogs and graphic design because I would be miserable if I did that task. So realizing that you don't have to hate your life is if you're an entrepreneur or an employee, you can actually do something that you're naturally curious about. Following through the multiple streams of curiosity of what you're interested in, and you can naturally find a job for that particular category that you're interested in. Think about it. I'm interested in neurology, which is like a whole other like thing. Like that's like a whole like I could have been like a professor, a neurology professor or whatever. But
You will probably
no,
someday.
there's no way. But like I could have been like a neurology professor, but I'm in marketing. Like it's about applying these super weird things that you're curious about and applying them randomly inside of a job that could potentially make you some money. And when you're building a personal brand, the more opportunities you have of making your passion into some type of profit in
Perfect.
some weird
Mm.
way. So I took my passion for neurology, applied it to marketing, and now I'm able to test for multi-million dollar brands, which I make a lot of money for them now. And
Yeah.
then you can do the same thing for another random particular skill. If you love doing art, you can apply that to Photoshop now because every business needs Photoshop now at this point. So like you can apply these random things that you're curious about, these random things that you're passionate about, and making them an employee. Then it just comes down to people knowing that you exist. That's where brand comes in. That's where content comes in. So if you're able to show those skills, show those passions that you have, and apply
Mhm.
more context about that, then you're able to really get a lot more of opportunities and go, like, for example, if you're passionate about art, then you say, okay, if I'm passionate about art, I need to start learning how to do Photoshop because that's what everyone needs these days. And then you can start posting about Photoshop tutorials on YouTube. You can start talking about Photoshop on LinkedIn. You can start applying for jobs on LinkedIn and other things like that, and start developing your skills in that particular
So
way. And you now have a job that you're passionate about, and it's just something as random as art. So there's a lot of opportunity out there, and especially as the huge labor shortages in America, um, there is like literally every single job, every single sign in Texas right now, they are requesting for a job. So if you need a job, there is literally every single business needs a we have a huge labor shortage right now. So
so
there's no
are you
excuse.
saying that people should look at their passion and then look for the need in the market and try to merge it, and then there is an opportunity for them to grow and build their personal brand?
Exactly. Yes. That's exactly it. So, like, it's really reframing the conversation from American culture where you say, find it, like, graduate college, find a job, doesn't matter if you like it, just find a job and just work the rest of your life, and it doesn't matter, just make money and just go through the corporate ladder even though you have to deal with all the politics, hating life, everything else, spend 40% of your life just hating your life, and that's no way to live. And then reframing the conversation, taking a step back, saying, okay, what am I naturally curious about? Like writing down a list of what you're naturally
Mm.
curious about, like art, graphic design, whatever it may be, and then going into that and saying, okay, what can I do? What is in demand right now in
Demand,
the
yeah.
job spectrum? And saying, okay, I can learn that, no problem. And then just applying for 1,000 different jobs, creating content behind it at the same time, and then you have the ability to create a passion, a work around your passion. Will it take time? Yes, it will take a
Yeah.
lot of time. It will take a lot of effort. But if you are passionate about it, then it won't matter. That is the whole key. That if as an entrepreneur, there are times that it will feel like work, yes, but it should be enjoyable on a daily basis of what you do, so that way you can work 14 hours a day and not even worry about it. Like I work 14-hour days all the time, and I love it. I love I love every second of what I do because I love communicating with other people. I love testing new things, and I love marketing. So it's a perfect mesh for me. So I love what I do on a daily basis. But if you're an entrepreneur and you're working 14-hour days doing things that you hate, you are
Mm.
going to burn out very quickly, and you're going to
True.
hate your life like for a very long time. And whether if you're an employee, entrepreneur, whatever it may be, it's important to find the things that you're interested in naturally and really explore that. It's really important.
I think we have formula: passion plus no, passion leads us to motivation, and motivation thus brings us to the outcome we want. So we have to have this passion as a like fertile ground, and
Yeah.
then we can build up motivation, because we have this fire for this thing. We're loving what we do. We're loving this thing with this subject, and then we have a different speed, like depth of the motivation, and then the outcome is also coming much quicker or bigger, whatever we want to measure it. But the passion is essential for entrepreneurship, for the employees, uh, yeah, for everyone. We need passion. So yeah, that's good invite from your side to find your list of passions. Just put them on what you are passionate about, what you are curious about. Put them on a list, and then look for the, as Victor said, look for demand in the market, for the needs, and then you can combine them. Or you build a new business, new service, new product, or you are finding the job where you are needed, really.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And like you have to realize that like the human brain is naturally just interested in weird things. We naturally enjoy things that are just super weird to other people. And you have to find out these weird gimmicks that you enjoy that like everyone else just think is crazy. Like this whole like automation thing within my brain is just so
Yeah.
unbelievably weird, but it makes me so happy. Like seeing a bot that like
True.
works for me and does my things, I get so genuinely like excited when that happens. And but for everyone else, is everyone's like, okay, you're crazy. I'm gonna go in this direction. But yeah, like that's normal. So that's normal for me. So you have to understand what are those weird quirks inside your brain that make you happy, get you excited, or whatever it may be. So that way you can frame your priority about it, and you can start it with, like, for example, your shows that you watch. For example,
True.
if you love watching drama shows, then politics, like basically corporate politics, may be perfect for you because you love that drama structure of blaming things and everything else. So like corporate structure might be perfect for you. So
Go
you
for
have to understand
politics.
you have to you have to understand these small quirks that happen or that are inside your brain, because that's what makes you different from everyone else, and that is what's going to help motivate you through these particular goals and to help produce this personal content. It's crazy.
I think we both share one passion. It is about the change. We're really curious about the change, the new things, learning new things, and implementing and inspiring our team, our people, our clients in new possibilities. And this is driving us forward. And that's why people follow us and join us, and we can deliver some value for our network because we are passionate about the change.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think what dives into why I love connecting with new people is I love understanding their perspective on how they view life. It's very, very fascinating to me because a lot of people view that this is like my definition of emotional maturity. Like this is like my definition of emotional maturity. The ability to perceive other people's emotions that are different from your own. Because when you view someone, if you view it only from your emotions and from your perspective, you are going to you're going to get angry. Like you're gonna get sad. You're gonna get angry if you only view it from your own self, because you're only viewing it for yours. But as an entrepreneur and as someone that has to communicate with others, you have to dive into what is that person thinking and what are their internal motivations, so that way you can understand why they say certain things. Like that's why I never get offended by things. Like if someone calls me stupid, that means, okay, I'm going to dive into their perspective. I'm going to say, okay, they said that because of this and this and this that led them to this, and that's what led them to saying that. So
True.
that's the diving in I'm going into, and I'm diving into their perspective on how they think, so that way I can establish a stronger relationship with them. But if I only see a relationship from one side, my perspective, it's never going to work. And if you want to be compatible with the most people possible, you have to you have to change. You have to change. You have to be open-minded, see it from their perspective, and say, okay, that's actually a pretty good perspective, and then apply it to your life if you enjoy it. You don't always have to, but it's just something that it's another way to really establish a strong connection with someone if you open up yourself to that perspective and really add that whole other level of emotional intelligence for someone. It's really important.
I think you already mentioned this before, and we spoke about the tolerance, and this is important to be tolerant for other people. And then there is this controversial aspect of speed,
Yeah.
how we need to move our business and adapt to the digital world and changes and everything. And then this tolerance and patience in getting to know people, their motives, and trying to step in their shoes. And this is challenging to manage those two speeds, very quick one moving business, and very patient one knowing people, understanding their motivation, and trying to build those relationships. This is controversial, but still those are the two challenges we have to cope every day. I think this is crucial to understand that there are no one speed for everything, right?
Yes, like it's really fascinating because you brought up a good point. Because speed is also it's a very contradictory attribute to be very quick and be patient at the same time.
Yeah.
Because my mind goes go 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 extremely fast, and like obviously I would love instant results, but it's very interesting that I go so fast short term, but I only think in long term perspective. It's very,
Mhm.
very fascinating that I go extremely fast on my day to day, but I only think of things long term. And that I think a lot of people work really hard for those short term gains to get
Yeah.
like those instant reward and instant success. But my motivations are different. Those people that are motivated by short-term success, they're motivated by external factors. They're going for the extra piece of money or extra thing of something else. But I'm motivated internally. I'm motivated toward those long goals that I'm going every single day, 14 hours a day, but I'm going for my long term. I'm going for building relationships, building my business. I'm only thinking in 30-year perspective. Like 10 years is my short-term plan. That is how long I think. So that's crazy.
But Victor, could it be like you have to have this long term list of your aims, like where you want to go, and then you have those short term to do things.
True.
This is what we do daily, like build relationships, arrange projects, deliver value to our customer, like do. This is
True.
daily, and this is not like short term goal. It's already like short term to do list, and but the goal should be like long term, build strong relationships, be, I don't know, cover the whole world and travel the whole world, and have like 10 kids, and I don't
Wow, that's a
know.
lot of kids.
I don't know. That could be like long term dream and long term aim, but the daily to do list should include like this: build relationships with team, with clients, and so on, so on, so on.
Yeah, and I think that adds on to like why because I have to blast through my day-to-day things all the time, and like honestly scheduling the next day, like it's kind of funny. I only plan in like 10-year terms because like literally tomorrow I have no idea what's going to go on because I'm
Mm.
not organized. I don't plan things. So luckily I have people that help me with that help me do plan my tomorrow, but it's kind of funny that I literally don't know what's going to happen within the next 12 hours of what I'm going to do with all my meetings. But I do know that I'm able within the next 10 years that things are going to happen and things like that. So it's quite fascinating balancing between working extremely fast, getting all those things finished, but with that in the back of your mind, long term, this is the thing that you are building. So you have to get pleasure. Like the human mind needs short-term pleasure. It needs it to
Yeah.
succeed. And my short-term pleasure is I love like creating teams and I love progressing. That is my short-term pleasure within my mind that keeps me motivated day to day. And that is why people that like progressing, that like learning and things like that end up succeeding so much is because they get that short-term pleasure. They get that those short-term things that keep them motivated to keep going. But if you wake up every day, hate your life, you're not going to get those short-term pleasures. You're not going to be motivated not for either your short-term goal or your long-term goal. So it makes it where you can't be successful if you have that type of formula. So it makes it really difficult.
And I think it's very essential for your team to have team. You have first to have team. You have to have this long term goal, like vision, some passion, and then you can start to build this short term activity plan, which you can really delegate to your team. Otherwise, they don't know where you're heading,
True.
how they can plan your tomorrow, right? If they wouldn't know where you are heading, won't be able to plan your tomorrow, right?
Exactly. Yes. And it comes down to you have to establish a relationship and connect and communicate really, really well with your team. So that way they are planning long-term goals as well. Like for example, like my operations manager loves it when my employees start talking about long-term things, like long-term goals and things like that, because that means they're planning on staying with the company for a very long time, which is obviously what we love to hear. We want them to stay with us for a very long time. That's our goal. And we want to establish the best relationship possible with them. And it's our job as the entrepreneur to establish the goal and the direction where we're going, both short term and long term, to go as well as there as yeah, just to go there as well. And I'm not saying like create like a mission statement or all those like the yada yada change the world. Yes, obviously we want to change the world, but really establishing a realistic goal that they can get excited about. Because if the entrepreneur, you have to think the entrepreneur's at the top. If the entrepreneur hates their life, the companies below are going to hate their life. Like that's just how it works. So if you're at the top and you love what you do, then it creates the natural flow of culture. Everything's a waterfall effect after that. So if the person at the top's super passionate, then you have to realize that like 90, like it goes 10%, 10%, 10%, 10% of every level of the company. So if I start out at like 100 as like because I'm super passionate, then my managers are going to be at 90. Then the other managers are going to be at like 80, and then the
Mm.
bottom of my company is only going to get like 60% of that, of the passionate that I give off. So, but if the entrepreneur at the top starts at 50 and then it goes down, it's
Yeah,
really
there's
difficult to work
nothing.
for because the ending person ends up getting zero. So my job is to give as much passion and understand each employee the best I absolutely can, so that way I can help create the best culture for them, because that's really important.
I recently, Victor, heard one interesting story about the entrepreneur who is bringing the local business globally from my country, and he had this great insight that it's amazing to motivate your team to grow,
Mhm.
to stay longer with the brand, but you can also motivate them to develop their own ideas, which can be startups, and then your company can be, supportive for their business. You become part of their business and you grow business already together with your team. So still those people stay within your field, within your circle, but they have another motivation because they can develop their own passion. Maybe it's not passion to stay within your business forever, but still to be close to you, because you are already like minds, and you have this common culture and
Mhm.
values. So those people stay in your bubble, and you are already developing another level of business. You are growing different businesses together with your employees.
There's no reason why someone I couldn't agree more with what you said. Like it's there's no reason why someone can't be doing what they do, what they love on a passionate level every single day. Whether if it's after work, whether it is your work, whatever it may be, that if it is a passion, you will make time for it naturally. If you are do a full day of working and you are exhausted, and like if you're passionate about it, you're like that is what's going to motivate you to do your next project. That's what's going to like motivate you throughout your day. You're going to be, yay, I can work on my art after this, and you're going to be super excited. And that's going to what's going to be motivating you throughout your day. I could not agree more on personal projects, because my personal projects that I created is the reason why I am here. I'm not even joking. Like the reason why I learned video editing and all these other like marketing related skills in the first place was through these personal projects. Like for example, the reason why I got in marketing, I created a neurology site called Neurons Matter, and I wanted people to know about this website, but I didn't know how. I didn't know anything about marketing, and then I was like, wow, I should probably really learn marketing. This is probably really important stuff. And then that's when I started learning SEO or social media marketing. That's when I started learning that. And then wanted to create a video game at one point. And then I was like, okay, I need to create a trailer for this video game. That's how I learned Premiere Pro, Adobe After Effects, Photoshop. And I created everything, learned that process. And then I was able to build that out. And that's how all the skills I have are from these random personal projects that I work on that has like completely changed my life forever. And it's crazy. Like for the video game that I wanted to create, I guess that's how I started out Facebook ads. I started targeting competitors of other video games toward my social media stuff,
Yeah.
and then that's how I started out with Facebook ads. Then once I got the Facebook ads, I started doing it for businesses. Then I started doing Amazon, and like it started this whole cascade. But you have to start somewhere. Like you these personal projects will lead you to something, but you like it. For example, if I was just a normal person, just a normal 15-year-old, I would have never have gone down that path. But I was obsessed with like learning and doing these personal projects that completely changed my life. Like by 15, I was doing I learned WordPress, created my WordPress site. Then I started doing SEO. Then I started doing Facebook advertising. And then like I just went crazy. So it's been a it's personal projects are huge. They're huge.
I think it really matters what you say, that even if an entrepreneur, for example, is over 20, over 30, maybe over 40, and is not living in his parents' house, and he has to earn money for his family. But I think it's wise what you said, that you have to have those side private projects, even if you have to work more at some point, at some time, but still you have this chance to develop yourself and discover yourself, and that will lead you to more opportunities and more ideas than maybe those new skills you learn can be your life-changing opportunities after, and you don't have to work anymore at that job, and you have your business opportunity, and then you can launch your own thing, and be more, wealthy, happy, whatever you want. But you have to have this passion thing, and you have to invest some time to know what's behind it, and invest in developing yourself as well, right?
Yeah, and exactly. Like it depends like how much you start. Like you just have to like even if it's doing 10 minutes a day and that
Mhm.
10 minutes of progress you made, you make it literally like a post about it, a social media post about it. And the more people that un- if you have a passion about something, someone shares that passion. There's 7 billion people in this world. So there is one other person in this world that shares your passion to do something. And that one other person that does, you can have a relationship with, and that relationship can end up changing your life in the next year, saying, "Oh, you enjoy this specific art? That's so cool. I just found out that another I just got hired for this one job. They need another person." And then you get that one other person in the world that does that specific art you just found a job for. So the more people that know your passion about what you want to do will guide more opportunities for your success. So it's important to, yes, do that passionate thing that you love, but if you want more opportunities, if you don't want more opportunities, you don't have to worry about sharing it with the world. But if you are struggling to say, how can I get paid for the things I'm passionate about, that's when you have to bring in and say, okay, I need more people to know about what I'm passionate about. And the best way to scale that is through social media. But you can start out with friends. Like if your
True.
friends already know, and then that can end up changing your life. But social media, by just posting it, you're able to get so much more scalability on that because there's going to be so much more people you can connect to, like all over the world, really, and you can really establish a really great relationship with them that can end up changing everything for you.
I really like what you say, and I think social media is also like our accountability partner, right? When you publish something, you are already accountable for what you are saying, for what you are like, yeah, confirming that this is your passion, this is your service, this is your knowledge, this is your expertise, this is your hobby. So you cannot quit it tomorrow. So so this is also a good way to proceed with what you have started. So I think that's what we do. We just continue. We are not stopping. We are just testing, varying, and A/B testing every day. That's me and you.
Yeah.
Just like you and me in different fields, maybe, but still we are challenging ourselves to grow, to test. And this is a good thing to do for entrepreneurs or individuals, just to be accountable for themselves, and then go and test, and not hide and not wait for the right day. Just start now, as you said, maybe 10 minutes, then maybe you have 1 hour more time to spend on some skills, some learning, some practices, and just grow your understanding of yourself, right?
Yeah. And like it comes exactly what you said, going down to yourself and understanding your own internal motivations.
Yeah.
Like for us, we post content because we love testing new things. We love trying and progressing and figuring out what works. That's what's interesting to us. That is our internal motivations. But if you're passionate about something, you can guide that. Like for example, if you love painting art and you can say, okay, I love painting art and I want to do this the rest of my life. I need to start posting this on social media now so that way I get more opportunities. So you may dread posting it on social media, but you have to realize you get more opportunities that way by posting that content. So
Hmm.
you have to realize what internally motivates you. Find out first, like through natural curiosities that you may find. Figure out what motivates you on a daily basis and write them down. And sometimes it's really hard because they're random quirks in your brain that are really hard to spot, like why you're motivated for particular things. Like it's weird. Like one of my friends loves nighttime driving. Literally loves it. Like he just goes out and just drives at night and just drives in a circle. It's for me that's the weirdest thing ever. I just get to my location whatever. But like that's a random quirk for him. He loves doing that. That's his reward at the end of the day for working. So that's what he does. So like it's about finding these random quirks inside your brain and figuring out what motivates you to do it so that way you can help guide and channel that motivation toward wherever it is. And most of the time, it's you want to do something you're passionate about. Most people in the world want to do something they're passionate about and make money doing it. That is the most people's goal to do things. And the way to do that is mainly through posting social media content to get the most opportunities possible. But then you also have to find what internally motivates you to do those things. And that's the hardest part for people. They don't know what they're passionate about. And the best way to find that is to find those random quirks that are in your brain to figure out what you're passionate about for most of the things there.
I That really resonates to me. Like I discovered while you're speaking, I discovered that I really have this passion for early morning running, and I understand that for me, health is very essential. I want to
Yeah.
feel healthy, uh, like tie my shoes, step on the third floor easily. I don't want to be like stiff and yeah. I really
Yeah.
want to be very healthy, and
Mhm.
running gives me a lot of good hormones. I really feel very happy. So I have
Yeah.
this healthy aspect and happiness aspect, and then I share those experiences on social media. I inspire other people to think that maybe they can go for a walk, go for a run, ride their bicycle, do something for themselves, and at the end they maybe change their habits. So this is my passion, which leads me to my occupation. I'm a consultant of healthy lifestyle. So this is really that I didn't know before, and now it really leads to my business. So this is what you say. You never know how your passion can lead to your business.
Yeah. And
So
that's the reason why the most successful people in the world, they're they're successful for a reason, and it's because of those random internal motivations they have
true.
that like most people don't even identify. Most people can't like write them down, but once you really have a grasp of what motivates you, then you can like really realize like, oh, that's weird. I can do this. I can do this job. I can do or whatever. But first you have to figure out what is the random quirk that you have that motivates you on a daily basis so
Mm.
that way you can create more opportunities and figure out and drive and really drag that out to make you super motivated to whatever it is so that way you have the most opportunity for that random quirk to be satisfied, for example. But like for me, I have to test things and I have to progress. Like if I don't do
Yeah.
that, I go crazy. Like literally. Like I literally, if you put me in a room and just like make me watch TV, I would rather jump out a window. I'm not even joking. Like it is like I am obsessive about wanting to progress. So like for example, like if I have to wait in a waiting room without my phone, I literally will sit there and think about philosophical things just so that I can feel like I'm progressing and progressing my brain just so that way I can feel satisfied in that direction. That is how like weird I am. So that random quirk that I have of one needing to progress and feeling like I need to make progress for my future, that is really important to me, but I know that is what motivates me, and me knowing that is extremely strong. Like it makes it where once you know what motivates you, nothing can stop you after that. Like it's actually insane. Once you're able to identify your top 3 motivations, your random quirks, your random curiosities that make you passionate about things, that is an extremely strong realization once you have it, because you're going to realize like, wow, I've been doing this thing, this random quirk my entire life, but now I found something that I can actually do with it. It's just it's really interesting once you find out, and like once you start doing it, you're like, wow, I really am happy right now. Like for example, your morning run now, you're going to see like, wow, I'm really happy right now. Like you're gonna like see that, and it starts with taking yourself out of your perspective, realizing what are these random things that happen, and really putting them together to make a better experience for yourself.
Amazing. I just put my notes, and I can we rephrase it that the self-realization actually is a like foundation that gives you more self-confidence, and then you discover more opportunities which lead you to more uh, success. So it's
Yes.
very important to understand more of yourself, and then it just equals the success and happiness for you.
True. And it comes down to what I said before about taking yourself out of your own perspective, because you first, when it comes to self realization, you first have to know who you are as a person. You have to dissect the attributes that you have first in order to really run a team and identify other people's attributes first. So you have to realize you have to like writing it down helps too, saying, okay, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. You can start out with that saying, okay, I'm really good about automating systems. I suck at organizing, which is kind of weird. It's kind of like one of those things that's who I am. Okay. And then once you're able to do that, you go, okay, why are these my weaknesses? I suck at organizing because I enjoy chaos. I'm a very scattered brain person. I only am comfortable when all these things are going on in my life, and
True.
that makes me happy because I feel like I'm very efficient. So then you're able to understand, okay, now I know why I those are my weaknesses and why those are my strengths. And then you start looking at those particular weaknesses, and you try to identify that in another team member. So another employee. So, for example, my project manager is extremely organized. So I need someone that is able to get me a one, like a bullet pointed list about the things that need to be accomplished and figuring out those attributes. So, like I need them to be very text oriented, very structured on the way they do things, and very organized. They help me out because I'm a very unorganized person. So it's about identifying your strengths and weaknesses, why they're your strengths and your weaknesses, finding out the personality traits in yourself first, and
True.
then you can apply it to other people so that way you can understand their personality traits as well. Because if you want to figure out other people's motivations, you have to understand your own motivations first, figure out
Mhm.
your own quirks, figure out your own things. There's a lot of things that have to happen first, and then that's why it's so rare for an entrepreneur to care about the motivation of their employees. Most people don't even care, or don't even bother to like know the first step to care, why they should care, the first step to care, or how to care. the reason why you should care how to motivate your employees, because they will care more about you and work harder for you the more effort you give to them. The better the relationship you establish with your employees, the better they will work and they will try to help you out. That is why you should care about your employees. How to? You first have to identify what motivates you. Why are you getting up every single morning and working? Are you motivated because you like building businesses? Are you motivated because are you trying to accomplish this certain goal? And figuring out those inner quirks inside yourself, and then asking, okay, if I enjoy this, this is my motivation. Why are
Yeah.
they working for my company? Are they doing it just purely for money? Most likely not. If they're committed and working hard, they're not doing it just for money. They have some they have some internal thing inside them that motivates them to a whole other level. If they're good. If they're not good, they're going to give you just the basic crap. They're going to be yes people that just say, yes, this is great. Yes, this is okay. You don't want those type of people. You want people that are constantly changing things, that are criticized, not toxic, but criticizing and making things better for your company. Not toxic, but criticizing in a good way, saying to make things better. And you want those type of people. And then you have to identify, okay, those are the people. What can motivate them? Do they like organizing things? Do they get happiness out of organizing things? Yes. Then you want to put them in those particular positions. And you have to understand and put yourself in all these different perspectives of why each person is motivated toward a goal. And you have to communicate with them, and you have to let them to be super open, and you have to say, hey, like, I wouldn't go in an interview and say like what motivates you. I would say, what do you like doing? Like, I would just phrase it like that, because if you say what motivates you, they're going to give you some crappy answer. But I say, like, what do you like doing? What's your favorite thing to do? And then it was like, well, my favorite things to do is to paint, whatever, for example. I'm like, okay, cool. What do you think about being a graphic designer? And they go, okay, that'd be kind of cool. And like,
Yeah.
kind of going in that direction. So, because I know I always value the person's passion more than their experience, because I know they are going to work extremely hard no matter what happens, because this marketing changes so fast. I need someone that works extremely quickly, able to make quick decisions more than I will ever value someone's experience, because I need them to work fast. I need them to get it down. And those people that work fast are going to be a lot more valuable very quickly, more than someone that has experience. Yes, it will require more training up front. Will that take more time up front? Yes, I'm aware of that. Long term, though, me developing that person to become successful, regardless of where he or she goes, is going to be beneficial. And I want to help that, because my end goal is to help the person. Like, if I help the person find their passion and they go off and do something that they're more passionate about than my company, I'm pumped. I am so excited, because I started that person on a journey that's going to be so unbelievably amazing. And I you have to think, I only care about the relationship. I don't care if they go off. I don't care if an employee quits and they go off and do something else, because I know they're going to do something that they enjoy the most. And if that's at another company, I'm pumped, because I know that they're going to be happier wherever they go. And it's the same philosophy with clients, wherever.
Mhm.
I don't care if it benefits me in any way. I want
True.
them to be happy because I care about the relationship. That is what matters. Yeah.
You put a good point. I just found my motivation actually while you were speaking. I really understood that we are alike in terms of liking and needing this house. This is us. This is house actually accelerates within me this possibility to see the things, how to structure things. I need this house, and that gives me this passion of building the bridges and connecting the business with audience, or connecting the person with health. So I need this house as as a ground, and then I really get passion. So I really appreciate you for giving me this finding this definition of my passion.
Yeah,
Uh,
it would be really cool for you to create content around with it's super helpful for you, because you're going through that process right now of self-discovery between your intrinsic motivations. So you
Yeah.
might be able to find factors in there that I haven't thought of yet. So when you're like using this reference of a house and things like that, you can actually create content off of that and figuring out like creating like a potential plan or way to realize for someone to actually do self-realization and take themselves out of their perspective so that way they can find their intrinsic motivations and find those inner quirks within themselves. And I think that's going to be valuable for a lot of people because a lot of people can't answer the question of why they're passionate or like if they are
Yeah.
passionate about their job because like I said before, in American culture, you're not supposed to enjoy your job. It's you're not supposed to. It's like at that point where you like your job is to make money. That is it in American culture. You're supposed to work as hard. You're supposed to work nine to five every single day. Work as hard as humanly possible because there's always someone there to replace you. That is American culture, and I don't like the way that's phrased. I don't like the way that's structured, and it shouldn't be like that. People should be enjoy what they do on a daily basis, and that should be the reason why people work hard. It shouldn't be that oh, this person is going to replace me and the next like if I don't work hard or that like or someone's being angry and says like something toxic for someone to work out. That's what Steve Jobs does essentially. That he used toxicity to get people to work hard, saying, "Hey, I need this right now, or you're fired tomorrow." Like if you say that, yes, you will get someone. You will get someone to finish your task, but it will be at the detriment of that relationship. I can't tell you how many employees I've hired through referrals because my culture is so good. Like people say, like, "Hey, I love working with Victor. He has the best culture ever. You need to hire this other person. She's really good, and I want her to work with us." And I go, "Great, sounds good." Like, and then they end up being amazing employees because that is what the culture I created. And now, if I was toxic, that connection would have never have happened. If I was toxic, they would have said, "Okay, don't work with Victor. Yes, he pays well, but he's not going to actually have that good culture because I want to have that extra layer of intrinsic motivation of why someone wants to work with me rather than just surface level, which is just payment." Because you're going to get the same garbage that everyone else can do if you just have the motivation to get paid. I don't care about that. Like I know like you're gonna I can easily get people that are motivated by money. That's I'm gonna get some garbage result out of it. But I
True.
want intrinsic motivation because that's where I'm gonna get the real quality. The people that are always wanting to change, always wanting to evolve and to do something better because I know they're passionate about it. I know they're going to want to keep progressing and that's really important to me. I want to make sure that they're progressing, that the company's progressing, and everything else. It's important.
I think, Victor, you're telling that people can start to love what they do when they find their passion within it, and then they have another like dimension of motivation, and then the outcome, of course, is completely different. So you can find the angle how you can start to love what you do, just discovering yourself and your passions, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and like when it comes down to it, a big question I get from entrepreneurs is how I find passionate employees. And it really starts with trying like getting finding out whatever it's like Indeed, whatever job site you posted on, getting a lot of applications. You need a lot of people to work with. Like you need at least 25 applications, like or above, because if you have a small sample, it's not going to work very well. But with a bigger than 25 sample, then you basically divert and you can start really understanding what like understanding how people work. So I send them an overview video of the person I'm looking for, and I ask them, okay, how would you optimize this process? I send them what's going on. I ask them, what's this process of how would you develop this? How would you make this better? And that person that ends up giving me the best response, I know that they're going to do a good job with it. And then after the response, I say, okay, how how would you help with this? And what would you like to do in the company? What are you most passionate about? where do you want to be? What do you enjoy doing the most? And after I do that, I'm able to understand what motivates them. I understand what they're good at, so I know that they have deep knowledge in the expertise. I answered my first question. They have lots of expertise because they answered that question very well of how they would optimize that process. So that's one factor I know now. They know it really well. Second factor in there is I'm able to figure out what their internal motivation is.
Yeah.
If they give you the general response is like, "Oh, I just help, just tell me what I need to do and I'll do it." There's a lot of people that do that, but I want to find people are that love enjoying doing that particular subject, so that way I can help specialize in that particular area. Because if they give me a general answer on what motivates them, I know they're
Yeah.
motivated by money. So
Yeah.
like that's what I don't want. I'm okay with people being motivated by money. I'm okay with that. But I'm going to get a much less result if they were intrinsically motivated by it. So
True.
it's really important for me to understand what motivates them so that way I can provide the best job experience for them as possible. Because if someone is not enjoying their job, it's my fault. It's 100% the entrepreneur's fault if they do not enjoy their job on a daily basis. I need to position them like literally I tell them, "Hey, if you don't enjoy what you do, tell me and I can put you somewhere else in the company where you do enjoy." Because I have as an entrepreneur, I have two jobs to make sure they enjoy their job on a daily basis and that make sure everyone is communicating. That is my two jobs as an entrepreneur. And if they do not enjoy it, it is my fault, and it is my job to do something about it. It's my job is to not let it run to like just to make sure the task is finished. My job is to do something about it to make sure they do enjoy it. And it's super important. I'm not going to just let that run because I need to address that first. I don't care if the task isn't done. I need you to enjoy what you do because there's no point in being miserable. It is unacceptable to be miserable in this amount of opportunity that there is. There is so much opportunity out there that like where you can post on social media every day, whatever it may be, there's so much opportunity. There's no reason to be miserable. Now, in the medieval times when all there was like farming and like whatever killing people, those were like the only two jobs in the medieval times. So like you didn't have a choice. And now we have so much opportunity with all these jobs out there that especially with everything going remote now, you can get a job anywhere in the world. So there's so much opportunity and there's no reason to be doing something that you don't enjoy and that you don't enjoy on a daily basis. So it's my job as an entrepreneur to make sure that happens within the company. It really is. That's really
Victor,
important.
Victor, this is major. I think a major topic because now when we discovered that everything is going viral, like virtual, remote, and HR managers, owners, they are struggling how to put the teams together, how to increase the motivation, engagement, and results and everything. And this is, I think, like super important what you told about the aim, the focus of the manager or the entrepreneur to focus on the team, that they feel happy and they interact with each other, not about the tasks, not about the KPIs or anything that will not follow if you not the basics. And the basics is to make sure the team is collaborating and they're feeling happy in what they do. So
True.
this is I think crucial, and this is it's not happening in the world. So
Yeah.
I think it's a lot to learn from what you said in this aspect, I think.
It,
For
and it's about not being like lovey-dovey about it, like saying like,
Mhm.
"Oh, do you enjoy your job?" And
Mhm.
like in like phrasing it in questions that give you like general responses. Like, "Oh, like how do you enjoy your working with yada yada yada?" They're always going to say yes. They're always going to say like yes, they enjoy working with whatever. And you don't want those general responses. You want something that they give you real feedback on. So like I said, like, hey, I've been doing a really bad, poor job of communicating with you, but how's everything going? And like whatever it may be. So you open that line of communication saying like, hey, If you ever have any issues with the project manager, just let me know, or like whatever it may be. So that way, once it does come up, I open that line of communication with them. So that way, they are feel free to contact me at any time. So that way,
Yeah.
I establish that relationship with them, which is really, really important within this entire scenario. And I was gonna go through a specific train of thought. You said something that set off a really important topic. What were you saying again? There was something really interesting that you sparked.
I mean that now I really face that a lot of businesses, HR managers or
Oh yeah,
employees, owners, they face the challenge how to keep the teams working, keep the teams engaged, keep the teams delivering, and they just focus on the results. They don't focus on people, but they understand that the people are the major thing that move things forward. So that was my thought that
hmm
I think what you do is feedback culture, which is the key to success of digital teams now and the
true.
development of business. That you have to create this people to people communication within the digital communication form to proceed with the business development. Actually,
Yeah,
so but
and
you are looking for another keyword, right?
true.
I don't I
And
don't.
and when you're in HR, like if you have a one-on-one conversation with them, you might get some valuable insights out of it on how the dynamic is between them, but you're gonna get very, very little. You're gonna get very general responses that are kind of garbage. You're gonna like, oh, like how do you enjoy working with the company? And they're always gonna say, oh, I love it, it's amazing. Like they're always gonna give you general responses that are garbage, that are not useful. That's just how it is. But it's really interesting to see how people interact, like how like my managers and seeing how they interact with the employees and understanding that that's been a lot more valuable for me to seeing how my managers are interacting with and assigning things to the employees, because that adds a whole other level of insight on how they're interacting, making sure everything is good and going okay there, because I get a lot more insights than that than I ever will on a one-on-one when they're communicating with me, because I can see, are they interacting very well? Are they happy? Are they communicating efficiently and things like that? I'm able to see a lot more emotion on just the way they communicate back and forth, way more than I ever will find out by asking them directly. Because when I ask them directly, they're going to give me the garbage responses that I don't care about. But they are, when I see them interacting, I can actually see, yes, they actually enjoy working with. They actually are happy. They are communicating very effectively. They're being communicating very happily, and when they make feedback changes and things like that, it's very positive. So, and that's really, really important within all this. And
I, yeah,
go ahead,
you
go ahead.
I just see that what you're saying, that it's very essential to create this first line. I will call it first line. Your managers, which are close to you, so they duplicate you and they duplicate your culture. So it's becoming your strength that they can duplicate this feedback culture. So it will deliver more valuable communication practices, and that will lead to more happy teams. And happy teams can really deliver more within those digital virtual times now. So it comes from the head. So if you see that your first line is duplicating you the way you like it, so it means that your business can be successful, right?
Yes, that's exactly it. And like I know this is like it's for my type of culture within my company. It's not weird for me to say I love you to an employee. Like I literally say I love you to an employee at least once a day. It's very, very normal. Like that is how ingrained the culture is within my company, because I am so grateful for the things they do. Like when they exceed expectations, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love you. Thank you so much for doing this." Like because it's just that's how normal it is for me. And I found it really fascinating that that even my project manager, my operations managers are even starting to say the same thing too. Is like, oh, like they start saying, "Oh my gosh, I love this. I love you." Like, and they start saying the same thing. I'm like, "Wow, I did that." And so, because in business, it is very, very foreign to say those type of things in any work situation. It is weird to say those type of things, but the culture is so positive that it becomes normal for you to say, "Oh my gosh, I love you. I love this," or whatever it may be, because that is how positive the work culture is. So that is how I kind of position it, and the managers are able to emulate that level of communication on how I do it. And it's kind of interesting that like I said, speed is my number one thing. I work extremely fast, but I always make time to appreciate. I always make time to appreciate for what someone did.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
because actually, as an entrepreneur, it becomes very easy for you to work extremely fast and get the task done, but you don't give any feedback to them. You give no positive feedback. You give no feedback in general because of how busy you are, and
Yeah.
then the employee doesn't know if they did a good job. They don't know, because you have to think the employees are working for the altruistic feedback from you to make sure they do a good job. And if you don't provide that feedback, they're left out of the communication loop at that point. So as the entrepreneur, it's my job to make sure that feedback loop is always maintained. Even though I work extremely fast and go at the speed of light, I'm still always making sure that I say, "Thank you so much!" Exclamation point. I love this. And like, no matter what happens, so that way, yes, the task is done, but it is more important for me to leave that positive feedback, so that way that way I know they'll do a better job next time, and also that I give that appreciation to them, because it's so easy to, as an entrepreneur, to work extremely fast but not give appreciation to your employees, because you forget about it, because how fast you're working, you're only worried about the task at hand. But you
Mhm.
have to leave time for appreciation of your employees, or nothing, or your employees will leave, because you have to give appreciation for what they do, because without them, you, like, as the entrepreneur, you are nothing without your employees. So you have to show appreciation. You have to take the couple of seconds it takes. Even though that
Yeah.
is sounds crazy to even take that couple of seconds, it is worth it, because you have to remember, you have to have your employees. Without them, you are nothing, and you have to take the couple of seconds to show that appreciation, or you will be nothing, because they will leave you without that appreciation. I 100% agree with that. It's crazy.
Victor, you lead me to the general thoughts that this appreciation and the feedback, feeling safe. This is big game. This is part of the company culture. But I think the the culture of duplicating all those effective activities actually is the determination for the success of the business. That this culture of effective activities is actually the success of a business. So you have to duplicate all what is effective, and
True.
then you make your business successful.
Yes. And it's very difficult to communicate that through managers, but it's not impossible. There are certain things that, as you start as being an entrepreneur, you have to learn how to communicate what you cannot form into words. It is a very, very difficult skill, but I'm getting better and better at it. But as an entrepreneur, your job is to communicate as effectively as humanly possible, so that way you can scale it at the bottom. That way you can communicate all at one time, let everyone in the company know what you're trying to communicate, so that way everything gets accomplished the first time without miscommunication.
Mm.
So every entrepreneur needs to know how to communicate the most effectively, and learning that skill of how to communicating the things that you don't necessarily know how to communicate yet. It helps for me because I know a lot. I've done everything. I know video editing. I know graphic design. I know Amazon. I know Facebook advertising. I know everything. I know a lot about everything. So I'm
Yeah.
able to communicate to them very, very easily. So I can say, okay, I need this ad with this ad set with this campaign name structure, so that way I can import it. So I have that experience to know how to communicate to them. So it makes it where I'm able to communicate very effectively on that. So it's either the entrepreneur's job to learn how to communicate that effectively, and your job might be to learn that subject. Because you have to think, it it might take you what, 30 minutes of your time to learn that subject, how to communicate it, but you may gain hours of understood miscommunications from that. From you taking that 30 minutes to learn how to particularly do that subject, you may be able to communicate 10 times more effectively now. So that way there's no miscommunication down the funnel. So that way it's a lot more efficient. That way you learn something and you're able to communicate that more effectively. I've been learning that very recently. I have to learn new attribution modeling, which is super complicated. I have no idea how to do it, but I don't know how to communicate it. I have absolutely no clue how to communicate it. So I have to learn the subject. I'm going to take 25 minutes of my day learning the subject, so that way I'm able to communicate to them
Right.
how I want it structured, so that way they understood. I don't expect my employees to know everything. Like, if I, for example, if I give them super vague instructions, I don't expect a good result in any
True.
particular time. But if I give them super clear instructions of exactly how I want it, then I expect if I communicated very well and effectively
Mhm.
on how to do it, then I expect that result. But if I give you super vague I almost never give vague instructions, but when I do, I don't expect a good result out of it because I didn't communicate it. That means it's my fault, 100%. So it's my job to understand the subject and learn as much about it, so that way I can communicate it just as effectively. And it's the entrepreneur's fault. It's the entrepreneur's job to do that. Either that or you need a manager that is able to communicate that for you. But
True.
you should never expect a job to be completed if you do not give specific communication instructions. People cannot read your mind. It is not possible. So I do not expect people to understand, and I don't assume them to understand what I'm talking about unless I communicate that like specifically. So it's really the entrepreneur's job to understand everything that's going on in the company. And usually they do. Usually they start out doing everything, so it ends up being okay. But there's certain aspects that like you might get into a department of that you may not understand, you don't know how to communicate, and it's the entrepreneur's job to learn that and learn that new skill. It really is.
It reminds me my experience. I was I was working as customer relationship manager on a global e-commerce brand, and I really experienced this challenge of delivering value within my part of responsibility to my teammates, to other departments, so I don't get back any mistakes, any miscommunication questions, and delivery from my side is that like complete complete with value for the other departments so they can complete their part and we deliver faster, much faster, the final value for the customer. And this is what I learned from the Kanban system. Actually, Kanban is perfect because you have to do everything you can within your territory, your responsibility, your kingdom, and then you pass forward to the next one. And so you don't have any tickets coming back to you and you have to like errors or mistakes you have to redo, then you lose time and it's not effective for business. So it comes also to communication within the team, right? You say you need to understand how to pack all the information you're giving to your team so it has the value already within it from the first time. You don't
Yes.
receive any questions after. Like some extra questions is good, but if it's misunderstood, then it's like wrong. And as you said, it comes from the head. You as an entrepreneur, as a manager, you have to think first how you communicate. You are the start of all the chain, right?
Yes. And like if you, especially when you're the person that's trying to give all the solutions and all the structuring and things like that, it's you really like I'm just like constantly focusing on how to communicate more efficiently and how I can always do it right the first time understanding, okay, this is why they got this is where the miscommunication happened. They thought this when I meant this. So I'm constantly learning how to not navigate those miscommunications to make sure they don't happen the next time. And it's the entrepreneur's job to understand understand that where people may think, where and really understanding how people may think about a particular subject, and where you have to dive into their mind thinking, okay, if I was them, how would they think, how would they understand how I'm communicating, so that way you can add a whole other level of communication for them. And also, as an entrepreneur, you have to figure out what is your best communication style. For me, it's video. I communicate all my things, my entire company. I almost rarely type. I do when I have to, but almost all my big responses are, I just show a screenplay of, okay, this is what I'm looking for. I need this here, this here, this here, this here, this here. Looks good. Let's go. And then that's how I send my updates. And I send 300 videos a day like that, and that's how I communicate. But another person's communication style may be completely different. One person might be really organized, be able to structure it via text. One person may be able to do other particular they might do voice. They might just do voice and that's it. But for me, I have to show my screen and show exactly what's going on, and then that's how I communicate. So, and luckily other people, the other employees have been able to adapt to that, and it's been very beneficial because I'm able to show them exactly how to do each process and show tutorials and things like that. So it's been really helpful for them to understand, and that's how I have been able to communicate so effectively to them and move as efficiently as possible with all that.
Victor, I think what you're saying is that the format can be different from each person, right? For you, it's video. For someone, it's audio. For someone, it's emailing. But I think the main key topic is the value that you are delivering full information which is needed for other people to start their part, right? And that could be like that could be some systemized thinking of I don't know, list of attributes you need to put on this delivery to other people. I don't know, some process description also helps, actually, how you are delivering from one person to another, so the ticket is not coming back to you anymore. So that could be
Yeah.
different from business to business, but still I think the format, that's nice that you encourage to choose your own format, but still think of the value that you deliver all the information essential for the next part, next people who will deliver the task forward.
Yeah, and I don't expect my employees to have the same communication style as that I do either. Like, most of my employees are naturally, like, all my project managers, they're very organized, so they don't need the structuring of, like, they don't need all the craziness all I do with the video. They just basically they do a text structure as their response. Some like to do audio in there as well, but most of them just respond via text, and that's how they communicate, and that's fine. Like, I just read it and then I just create a video on what I just read. So I mean, I'm okay with it either way. It's just that I never expect my employees to be just like me in any way. Whether, like, if it's drive, whether it's communication style, whatever it may be, I never ever expect for them to have the same attributes or anything related to me, because I
Mhm.
know that they're going through their own set of perceptions, their own emotions, and whatever it may be. So you have to realize that and not say, "Oh, like, that employee's just dumb or something." Like, you can't say that. Like, there's like a whole other level of communication you have to add, that it's most likely your fault, the entrepreneur's fault, whoever communicated it. It's most likely your fault, the reason why they messed up most of the time. I usually give about 3 different videos about communication, and then I start realizing, okay, it might actually be the employee. But, like, you first have to, if you only give one communication point, like a random sentence, there's no way that they're going to understand what's going on by a one
True.
sentence, like question, like, "Hey, can you get this report for me?" And, like, yes, they might get it to you, but it's also in their job to, like, your job to make sure you communicate. I need this report at this date range with this specific things. Like, there's so much granularity to it that you have to understand in order to communicate to that. So, but you wouldn't know that if you don't have experience with it. So, it's important. It is.
How do you feel? Can
Good.
we make a pause and continue this discussion some other time soon? I think
Yes,
we
definitely.
did discover a lot of valuable topics and keywords and inspiration. I think moments for or employees or entrepreneurs or individuals
I
or
totally agree.
HR managers as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Is there anything you want to say before we hop off?
I think we did good. I really think that on top of everything is value. We value people. We value what we say to people, or it's our team, or it's our audience that we pressure. We are we don't put pressure on time on other people. We can really enjoy being speedy ourselves, but we really take time on building relationships. Also, social media, it demands the time. We need to be consistent and also understand that it's long term investment, but we never know when the call is coming to us, so we should be ready. So I think um, to be close with your people is the key for the digital leadership in nowadays, because people are the main thing to the business today. So
Totally agree.
that would be from my side.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. So yes, we got a ton of content. It is 1:30 a.m. So I'm going to end the webinar right now. Thank you everyone for watching. For the people that at 1:30 are watching, thank you guys. We'll talk to you later. Thanks, guys.
Bye.